So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live show with live peoples. I'm working in Johanna Basford's Ivy and the Inky Butterfly. And I think this is probably part 4 now. I decided to use colours from these Derwent Graphik liner pens, and these are they're inky. If you can see, I haven't shaken this one yet. They all need a bit of a shake the first time you use them of the day, so if you sit and don't use them for a week, they need another shake. So when you first start to use them, you just want a bit of a shake because there's a ball bearing in there and it's mixing this acrylic ink. So being an acrylic ink, if you just draw with them, they dry, they're set. But if you use them on a ceramic surface and you just apply a damp baby wipe, that surface is barely damp. So what happens is when you drop the ink in, it's got the tiny bit of moisture with it, and it doesn't. And then if you use a damp brush, you just get it to the right consistency where it stays strong, but it will reconstitute on this ceramic surface and you can use it again. And as a tight Yorkshire lass, I kind of like that, but I only use a tiny little bit at a time, and I've been using it because I wanted to get some inky effects in this book with the inkiness. So I had a bit of a practice, and in fact I had a long practice with these because these particular liners are not designed for this. They are designed to work on watercolour paper with lots of water. I'm using them on a colour book page with hardly any water. But if you spend a day having a practice with them, doing a colour page, a practice colour page, by the end you will find the technique that's easy to do once you've found out. Now they are designed to blob out, and that means sometimes when you touch you get tons of colour. So instead of wasting that colour, I use it in another colour book, and I've got lots of monochromes. So I've picked a couple of pages spare that if it does blob, I stop what I'm doing. I don't work in this book, I go work in a different book, and I use all the ink up. And then when I've used all the ink up and I've finished the colour page, I will then come back to it and start again, because I do not like to waste this fairly precious paint. Now they are in separate sets of sometimes there are sets of 5 or 10, and they have drawing colours as well, and sepia colours and blacks and whites and greys. This particular set, there's 20 colours, and so they come in a little box. Now they are quite expensive, so I wouldn't like to use them on watercolour paper, and you're supposed to put a big blob on and blow with a straw or splatter and all sorts of things, but I think they're a bit too precious for that. So I wanted an inky effect in this Ivy and the Inky Butterfly. Now this particular page has got strawberries in it, so I want to have a practice to see if I can find a strawberry colour. I did use the front and the back cover for practice, but I do need a bit of a practice for this particular strawberry colour. I've also made a note of some of the numbers that I like. So the butterfly all the way through the book will be 7 and 12, which is a purple and a mint, I think. The jewels are a pink and a purple. There's a gold, which I use the 2 yellows, and then there's flowers, which I use 3, which is an orange, and 10, which is a green. And I do like these colour combinations. So I've got a piece of sketchbook paper, and I'm going to have a bit of a play. But I need to put it on here, so a bit talking, this has gone dry again, so you have to work fairly fast. I'm going to take that red to start with and just see if I've got this strawberry colour. So again, I have to use a damp baby wipe to make sure that that's damp. Shake the pen, and then I've forgotten which side I wiped now. And if you draw, you can see it immediately running. So I just put a bit of a circle. Then I put the pen back with its lid on, and they have to be stored horizontal. And then I'll dampen a brush, twist it on a baby wipe so that I can draw it backwards, twist it to a point. So I end up with a damp brush that's to a point, and then I'm going to use a little bit of this. And I'm going to see if this is a strawberry colour or not. I think it could be strawberry colour. I think that could be a strawberry colour. And I may want a different colour in there, so I'm going to try a spot of this one next to it. So that was number 4. This is number 5. They have strange names, so we've got herring and we've got blood for obviously the 2 reds. So we'll try a bit of that. Now, not much came out there actually. That's a bit pinkier, is that? So I think possibly a combination of both. So I am just going to put a bit of wet to this. And what we can do is you can see how many pinks we're going to get from a little bit. So I think I'm going to put some of this out. You can, I'm not pushing down because I don't want a blob. So I think I want some kind of, I don't want pink. I do need a bit of a contrast because I want an inky effect, so I'm going to use that number 2 brush. So we've got a bit of a strawberry here. So damp brush and kind of and normally I blend out, but obviously I don't want to blend out with this. And I think I just want that's a blue, perhaps not a blue, perhaps a little bit of purple. Again, first time you use them. Now the purple one does actually want cleaning, but I don't really want to blob it out. So the purple can be the contrasting colour in there. So I have another strawberry here, so I'm going to take some of this and dab it in, and then I want to pick up this. And the other thing you can do is actually touch the end, so you're picking up neat colour for that inky effect. And one thing you have to be careful of is the strength, because we don't want it to go through, but there's absolutely nothing there. So it's about there. So there's nothing at all even showing through. But this is good quality paper, but even so you have to be a little bit careful. So I think perhaps we need to find the other strawberry. Now because I've put a little bit of water to it, it will reconstitute itself. So I kind of like that, and then I just want to touch. So I didn't really like that, but if I put pink over the top, we might get away with it. So now we have another one. I think I like it more dauby than I think. And again, I really want to get away from this kind of strawberry effect. I want it kind of more inky. Now if we look at this colour again, it's gone really pale now. And if we put some water to it, it's paler. And then kind of dry the brush out. That's such a soft pink. So now I have my pink for my primroses. So I've got a spare piece of paper here, but I've now got this lovely soft. So I'm going to take as much off there as possible. I want a barely damp brush, and then I can fill these pretty primroses in with that lovely soft, almost invisible pink. And there's one at this side as well. So I'm not wasting the pink that's on. So we have two down here. And it's a very soft pink, so those strawberries are going to stand out quite well. So we'll move across to our other two here. And I'm just so desperate to use all my ink up. So from that very strong red of the strawberries, I've got a lovely soft, I've got a very soft pink. I kind of like that, and it's dried, so again we know that was a little bit wet there. Got a bit of a mark there, just a tiny bit of a mark, but that's because I went over it twice. Got to remember not to do that. So I've got some more strawberries down here. And we have the cake. So just get a bit more. Organised. I don't have to. I've got to be careful you don't get a blob, because we do not want to. very carefully tap. I've got a little bit of purple in there, so we'll work this way around, I think. So we'll just touch that with the damp brush, and we'll just put strawberry in there. And remember, we can always go back in here once it's dried. We can always add more. But with this ink, you can't take it away. So clean the brush, and then I think I'm just going to touch the edge. Now you need to do this off the front of your page because it will splatter, but and if you put a damp brush just there, it will pick up colour. So I've messed about on that one too much now, I need to move. But again, I'm trying to find a bit of an inky like those strawberries. Don't think I've got anywhere else, so the next thing to do is wash the brush up, put these colours away. I might just put a bit of purple. Really shouldn't mess about with this when I've done it twice now. You can do it afterwards when it's dried, but just put a little bit of purple in there. So I think if I put some water to this bit of purple we have here, it doesn't look very much. But when you put it on a piece of paper, it becomes a mauve. And I think that's going to be the centre of our flowers, is mauve. Perhaps a tiny bit stronger. It's not a patch on this vibrant colour. I kind of like this. Decided to put a little bit darker in that one. Just give it a little bit of something else. Perhaps I need I need a little bit more. I think that's just a little bit more, so I haven't wasted very much. I've wasted a little bit more than I did last week, but not much, so I'm going to wet that again now. So that's barely damp. Keep it off the page. So I'm going to use, I said 3 if you're in doubt, look at your references. So I had a nice colour scheme on the back page. Kind of like that. It's green and orange. So they both need a bit of a tap. Because I've stopped, I've got to wet this again because it'll have dried. And then I can put a dollop of Tom, which is number 3, and number 13 is called Envy. A damp brush, and we'll start with this one up here. So we'll just put orange on the outside. kind of like that. That's the little bit of inkiness that I wanted that I didn't get. So just a bit of orange on the outside. Damp brush, pick up some green. So that's quite nice. I like that effect. It's quite inky. Pick up the green and put that in as well. I think we may have a spot more. So a damp brush, pick up the right one. Touch this orange on the outside. And I kind of like this inky effect. I do like this kind of inky effect. So we've got it on here. Just tap in that colour. I could do with a little bit of colour seeping through and leaving white, because that's what makes it a kind of a bit inky. So if we get that pale orange and that pale green, we've got a kind of an olivey brown colour. Put some water to it and get that brush fairly damp. We've got the colour of our cake. Sorry about that, guys. So we've got a faint colour on, and of course the white's the icing. So I'm going to do the top, and I think I'm going to use this as a page colour. I think. It's just a very soft colour. And again, I've hardly wasted any. Oh, I've missed a big leaf there. Look, goodness gracious me. So I'm going to just pick up this colour. So just bear with me a second. Hi girl, sorry about that. Oh dear, right, pop that one on there. So I've kind of made this olivey green. And because I did put that little bit of water to it, it actually reconstitutes, so we don't waste it. I think I'm going to put the bright orange on the end of there then. So that's on all the strawberries. Oh, the little bits there, look. Put a bit of number 2, which is called Clockwork. And just scratch the little circle in there. And the damp brush. Allow that yellow. Oh, you could have an alpha cow in a second, Suzanne. Suzanne's not had her daily fix, her weekly fix. So I kind of like that. I was a bit disappointed with my strawberries, but they're kind of growing on me. It's okay. It's not completely ruined. So now I need a different green. So I've got a green and I've got a bit of yellow in there. And again, because I've put a tiny bit of a damp brush to it, it's not so bad. So what I want to do now is actually have that made it quite dark. I kind of like that. There's a lot of leaves to do, so I've got a pale colour. I kind of like that. I think I might just put... I've just wet that with a damp brush so you can see how much water I have, because it runs. Oh, welcome back, Suzanne. I'm sorry about you. It seems to be being quite naughty recently to everybody. So hopefully what I can do is to go round and on the leaves that I haven't put a colour on, put this yellow on the tips quite kind of roughly. Now I wouldn't put this on here. If I were you, I'd put this underneath, because we can guarantee that if you kind of look at it, you're going to blob. I just want to scratch a bit of colour into there. And that dampness is just enough to stop it. It won't stop it drying out, but it will make it more... It'll make it better for making back into a watercolour. And it wouldn't have done that if I didn't use a fairly damp brush for that one. So I've got... I'm just going to get the damp, see if I can just pick up a little bit of yellow, because I don't really want much, just a touch. So what we need now is this colour here. we've got just a tiny highlight now. And I'll probably do the stalk as well. And you can see it just looks like a highlight. And pick up a bit more. And go to this one. And up this one. And these are really tiny spaces, are these? So just a little bit of a blob is enough to make a highlight. And I kind of like that. So I think I've gone everywhere. What I'm going to do is, oops, I've got a bit of a leaf over there. Oops. On the book page, there is a leaf. And this is really well watered down, but it's doing its thing, so that'll be fine. And I think I'm going to do the stem. Go all the way around. So I hope everybody's, oops. We've just got a bit of miserable weather again today in the UK, so I'm going to pick up a bit more colour. Now there's very little left here, but I want to come down that one. I want them to be soft, these. Not really bothered about hard lines. Not going to probably put a highlight on it either. And then we'll go down this side here. And I really have very little left, just the tiniest bit of colour. Which might just be enough to get me. Which is a very soft colour. So that was the tiniest bit of colour on there, I suppose. And it goes on there. But I have used it all up, so I'm quite pleased with that. There's a tiniest little bit, but hardly anything. So we'll clean that. And because I put that little bit of water to it, this acrylic ink will behave itself. So I kind of like that. I think... Oh my goodness me. I've got some swirls, so I think I'm going to have a different green this time. There is a Billy colour green, but I don't know if I like it, so that was a bit wet. So actually another way to do it is just to take a damp brush, and you can tell it's run. That's how wet it is. It's probably a bit too wet, that one. I'll put a bit of this green to it. Remember, just gently tap, otherwise you'll have a blob. And I don't really want a blob. I wanted a different green. It's a bit bright, this one, but let's have a look. Oh, it'll do. It's quite nice. This one's going to be the swirls. So I think I'm going to put this kind of here like that, and this one just playing about with my lighting. Let's see if I can get better lighting. And I think we have this, I might do that a different colour, I think. What else have we got in here? Oh, they're the only two swirls we have, so we'll get rid of those two swirls. So I've still got this green. I might just put a little bit of this number 2 yellow with it. Bit of number 2, so that's like cadmium yellow. It's made it a bit greener. Take nearly all of it off the brush because we just want it kind of an inky effect. And I think I'll just do this one. Now, perhaps I should have used a smaller brush. So we'll fill these in, and then I'm going to do an outside one in a different colour. With a touch of water just get a bit of green out of there. A bit of a curl on this side. I must have forgotten those leaves. have we done? Oh, there's a couple more swirls around the cake. And then we'll just do these. Very soft green. So the butterfly is of a purple colour. Oops, that's a bit of a dirty purple colour, isn't it? And get some ink splots as well. You can get some nice splatter effects. And that's what these are technically supposed to do. They are supposed to kind of blob out and misbehave. And there's a mint colour there as well. And the mint is the butterfly colour. So you can get some little splatter effects. And then we've got all these kind of droplets here. They're all ink, and they're going to be this colour, which is a nice mint. So just daub this on. I think it also helps with the not going through the page. So we can just put some blobs. All around. So it's a bit looser than I normally work, but again that's sometimes quite good. Pencils, I don't know what colour to do the pencils. I do have an orange and yellow stripe. Clean the brush. So pick up the yellow. And then we'll pick up the orange. the edges of that pencils. What I think we could have maybe some staining on that. Put a bit of staining on there. Got a bit of an inky effect, so we just need just the tiniest bit of this colour now, just to do the centre of the flowers. Very soft lemon colour, and that's not going to work because just a bit of a gold plate. So I think that's finished. Just wash the brush out and wipe the dish. I didn't waste very much, just hardly anything. So again, I'm quite happy about that. And I will zoom out and you can see where we've got to. So it looks a little bit inky and it still matches the other page, so I haven't done them too strong. Got some nice strawberries there, and there's a bit of splatter and a bit of ink of the book. So I kind of like that. Love my Graphik ink pens. Thanks for watching.